Hello, viewing public, and welcome to another edition of How Many Shoes Should a Man, How Many Pairs of Shoes Should a Man Have? I'm your host, Evgeny Katz-Nelson, and today I'm sitting down at my drum set to discuss Messianic nature of bicycles. I've noticed over the course of time, at one time in our lives that the cars seemed to be a dominant form of transportation. But always there was this thing they call the bicycle. I wanted to bring some visual aids, but I guess if you imagine that this was a bicycle, well, anyway, I guess I don't have any real good visual aids. No, I won't do either. Along with the arrival of bicycles came bicycling culture. This whole collection of people who wore skin-tight clothing, helmets which made them look like the character from Alien. Which, you can imagine like a bicyclist popping out of your chest and bursting open and blood streaming all over the place. And they came out in great gangs, and they seemed to encourage conformity in bicycles. Like you could no longer have sort of a cheap Huffy or a Schwinn. You now needed to have a Carbondale or a Trek or one of these high tensile strength new alloy bicycles, and they were all lightweight. I have an old Schwinn. It's made of steel. It must weigh about 57 pounds. Whereas the new bicycles, they weigh all of 11 pounds, and the hegemonic bicycle lords also, not only they prescribe uniforms that you have to wear, but also that maybe they were accessorizing that you could or shouldn't have. For instance, like a kickstand became a notorious evil accessory that sort of us ordinary Schwinn owners, us Huffy owners would order, but the Carbondale and the Trek owners would frown upon. Kickstands, saying they never put their bicycles down. Anyway, I'm not saying that bicycles are by nature messianic, and there's nothing wrong with being the Messiah. Like, in fact, if they're going to make our lives better, which I think they do in some regards, not when they plow through stop signs and throw their water bottles to the ground. Car drivers do that too. I really came very prepared for this discussion on bicycles, including the visual aids. I don't think you should be worried about bicyclists or bicycles, even if they move into your neighborhood, or if they become the predominant mode of transportation. In some ways, they're less expensive and leave less of a carbon footprint. These sort of important things in our modern day and age. And furthermore, you don't have to adopt them into your heart like you would the Messiah. You don't have to say that you don't have to go to bicycle church every Saturday afternoon. Go pub crawling from one town to the next, traveling 7 miles at a pace, and drinking your IPAs and your fancy stout liqueurs as you ride your bicycle from place to place and annoy the heck out of other highway drivers, state highway drivers, I should say. You shouldn't get on the federal highways on your bicycle. People will be really annoyed. Anyway, I'll conclude this rambling conversation about Messianic bicycles by quoting the internet. And the internet says, how do you make a cunt? And the answer would be give them some tight-fitting clothing and a bicycle and set them out into really busy traffic. That's how you make a cunt. Sorry. That concludes this episode of How Many Pairs of Shoes Should a Man Have? I'm your host, Evgeny Katz-Nelson, wishing you a pleasant tomorrow.